Good evening, everybody. As we are hitting 6:30, I'll get us rocking and rolling. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Nick Falla. I'm the Assistant Township Manager for Middletown Township. And if you are not joining us live, this meeting will be recorded, and so we hope you have a chance to join us afterward. First of all, I want to welcome everyone who is here, both our distinguished speakers as well as those who from our community, and really wanting to kick off our first of what will hopefully become a series of webinars on the topic of sustainability. For those who don't know, earlier this year, Middletown Township adopted a climate action plan, and it's really the first of its kind in southeastern Pennsylvania for a township. And there's a handful of others in the state, and so we're very proud to be a leader in this space, and we hope that we can continue to do more exciting and innovative things to continue to expand sustainable practices in our community. I also want to thank the Middletown Township Board of Supervisors for their continued advocacy and leadership in this area of sustainability. It is really their leadership that has driven us in this direction and making Middletown Township a leader when it comes to local government and sustainability. I also want to thank our EAC for leading the effort to develop the climate action plan, and also the Department of Environmental Protection for helping sponsor this webinar this evening. And I want to get us rolling right into, so before we begin, I do want to remind everybody who's joining us at the end of our webinar, there will be a brief Q&A opportunity. So as you have questions throughout the program this evening, please throw them right into the Q&A, but we will be addressing those questions after all three speakers have presented. I also want to thank two of our students who are joining us. So with DEP's help, we have two students from East Stroudsburg University. We have Asia Padovan, who is an environmental science student, who's a senior, and we also have Jennifer Acosta Tejada, who is a junior environmental science student. I'm going to turn it over to Asia. She'll be giving a brief introduction to each of our speakers, and I will be rejoining you at the end. So feel free to take it away, Asia.
Hi, I'm Asia Padovan, as Nick said. Thank you, Nick. I have been working on the residential portion of the DEP capstone internship, and we are going to kick off this lovely webinar with Bahareh van Boekhold. She is a skilled sustainability professional with diverse experience in energy efficiency, green building sustainability, and climate resiliency and mitigation planning. She is actually the vice chair of the Green Building United Board of Directors. She chairs the Sustainability Planning Steering Committee of the City of Newark, Delaware, and is a program manager with Applied Energy Group after having worked in a previous role with the Delaware Division of Energy and Climate. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Aja, for the introduction, and thank you, Nick, and Middletown Township for this opportunity. The first part of the presentation, I'm going to talk about home energy assessment or audit. And I'm hoping that I will let you all the information that you need to know and even more. I'm going to kind of talk about why, how, when, where, and at the end, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Before I start, you can see that I have one of the longest name here and a bunch of acronym that are for different leadership in energy and environmental design, certified energy manager, and Building Performance Institute, which is just means that kind of designing and running energy efficient buildings, both commercial and residential. Nick, can you please go to the next slide? Just to give a presentation, I want to kind of just give what I do on my day job. I'm part of the Applied Energy Group that we provide actually energy efficiency and renewable energy program design and planning to utilities, government agency, and other organizations. And we provide host of services. For example, in your case, you get your electricity from PECO, from an Exelon company. So we work with some of the Exelon company provide a platform to run their energy efficiency program. So we basically work with a provider of this energy efficiency rebates and program. And you can see some of the stats about our organization. If you can please go to the next slide. And we actually are under the subsidiary of Ameresco. ESCO companies, energy service companies, are the groups that come and actually, as part of their delivery or construction, is energy efficiency and renewable energy. Their focus are usually municipal buildings, schools, hospitals, and government building. And they come do a bunch of energy efficiency, renewable energy, and basically package it. So the kind of combination of all of these upgrade will be having a 20-year or shorter payback, and you pay it back through the energy and utility savings. So that's a kind of Ameresco, and we are part of that. So I put these two slides because my job required me to actually tell you what I do. So these are my day job. And the next slide is my volunteering capacity, which is with Green Building United. And Green Building United, actually, you can see all the counties we cover. We used to be called Delaware Valley Green Building Council. We are advocacy, education, and we want to say we advocate, we educate, but we also implement projects that help for a sustainable, resilient future. You can see our vision and mission there up there. Also, some of the things that we do is we kind of look at some of the program solutions, some of the pilots. In Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, we are very involved with key on different groups in policy and programs, and kind of advocating for more funding or more equitable and just program. We also do demonstration project in different cases. We support in different ways, kind of volunteering hours or kind of engaging our members to volunteer hours for different projects, so we can support, again, this sustainable, green, resilient project in our communities. And as you can see, you're one of the communities that Green Building United cover. So the next one, and I always say that I do all of that, but actually my biggest job is that I'm also a mother, and that's the biggest job that I have. But today I'm here to talk about home energy assessment. You may heard about home audit or home energy assessment. It's basically the first foray for you to know what you need to do to actually make your home to run more efficiently. So the same way that you may go to doctor every year or every other day for a checkup, or you may take your car for a checkup to see, is it efficient? Is it running properly? Does it have oil? It's the same concept for your home. So basically it kind of checks how your home uses the energy, and what are the comfort issue, and is there any health and safety issue. I put some of the questions that home energy assessment would address and answer as you do this home energy assessment or audit for your home. It kind of answers how your home is uses energy, what kind of energy sources you're using, and how much of it are you using. What areas of your home is inefficient? Are you using a lot of fuel oil for your heating, for space heating, or is your hot water too old and it's using a lot of electricity or fuel oil? Other important actually part of energy assessment or home assessment is looking at your health and safety issues. Do you have carbon monoxide issue? Is your heater or boiler venting properly? Is your stove, if you use gas, is it vented properly? Again, do you have mold issue? Do you have condensation, and that caused mold and mildew? That's, again, another area that a home energy assessment will identify. And finally, which one of your these kind of areas of concern you need to prioritize to save energy and improve safety and comfort of your home. So this is kind of in a nutshell what a home energy assessment is. If we can please go to the next slide. So you may ask, why do I need a home energy assessment? I put up there the first one is a comfort. You may experience that some part of your home is drafty. You may see that some rooms are hot, some rooms are cold, and you're never comfortable. You don't know what temperature you put. Comfort is the biggest actually issue that will kind of prompt people to look and see, what is the issue? Where is it that, why actually I feel draft? Why is it uncomfortable in one room? The second biggest reason that people will look at getting a home energy assessment is bill saving. When you do an energy assessment and identify areas that you're wasting energy, you can actually take action. Sometimes low-hanging fruits, low-cost measures that will help you save on your electric bill, your gas bill, your fuel bill, and your water bill. So that's another reason to consider a home energy assessment. Health and safety, I mentioned that before. Again, if you have any mold or mildew, if, for example, your bathroom is not venting properly outside and you're dumping that damp air into your attic and you have some mildew and mold growth, that's where the home energy assessment, when they're checking your attic and you're checking your insulation, that's when they would see these health and safety issue. They can help you if your attic need more ventilation, if, for example, your bathroom needed better ventilation, if your furnace or your boiler need to have a better draft protection. All of these health and safety items will come up in your home energy assessment. And finally, when you get a home energy assessment and you find ways that you can reduce your energy using your building, you actually help reduce the energy consumption and by default resulting in a cleaner environment. If you are burning less coal or gas to generate electricity because you are actually running it more efficiently, you're actually helping keep the environment cleaner. And you have a climate action plan. This is your first step. This is your leadership, your home leadership, your individual leadership on acting on climate. Again, a lot of reason why you want to do a home energy assessment. Can I have next page? So how is home energy assessment done? So the first step when you get a home energy auditor or assessor to your home, the energy auditor will actually ask questions. It will ask, okay, how do you feel in your home? Is there anywhere drafty? Do you feel it's damp? So the first actual way of knowing your home is talking to you and resident and understanding what are the issues. Then another diagnostic method is looking at your utility bill. Your utility bill says a lot about how your home is using energy. Some of you actually may have seen the home energy reports that PECO is sending you, the one that shows how your home is performing compared to other similar homes. So the energy assessor would look at your electric bill, and by looking at it would say, does it make sense? Is it kind of comparable to what it should look like, considering that your space heating or water heatings are electric, or is it too high? Then there will be a visual assessment of your home. Usually that's a part that the auditor will go and inspect your attic, basement, crawl space, and different areas to inspect visually how much insulation you have, also if there are any issues with mold or other cavities that they will address in the home energy assessment. One of the diagnostic tests that they will do is blower door test. The picture that you will see here, and we'll have more picture in future next slides, is they put a blower door on your door, and basically they pressurize your home. So they kind of either actually pressurize, so put more air pressure inside you, or depressurize it. And with that, they want to kind of stimulate, they want to kind of basically model, okay, if I kind of put a fan at the door and sucks the air out of this home, I want to see how much air is going to leak from all of the cracks and all of the openings of this home. This is the way to verify how many cracks, how many openings, how much leak do you have, how much air leakage you have. And this is really important because air leakage and those openings means that the air you're heating in the winter that you want to stay in home, you're actually leaking outside. Or in the summer, the cold air that you're actually using your electricity to cool down, if you have a leaky home, it's leaking outside. So you're uncomfortable, you're changing your thermostat, you're still not feeling comfortable and you're paying for too high of electricity bill because your cold air is leaking outside. Again, it's really important. Blower door testing that's usually done in a full energy assessment is a really key item to identify how leaky is your home. And when they run the blower door test, especially if you are in a cold day or a warm day, they can walk around your home with a thermal infrared camera and look at different corners of your home to see actually where for example, if it was a cold day, it's a very moderate day. If you were doing the test in a cold day, they could see where the building is leaking heat or sucking in the cold air, depending again how they're pressurizing your home. We will see some pictures of that. It's exactly like an X-ray that you do for your body. That's a kind of thermal X-ray of your home to identify where are you losing the heat or cold. You want to keep as much as you heat or cool inside, and you want to kind of actually leak it outside. And in some cases, if you have a fuel or gas appliances, they would do a combustion appliance testing. They want to make sure that all of your flue is actually going out. And in the case that you're running a fan and you're depressurizing your home, none of those flue gases are coming inside and causing issues. And finally, when they do all of those interviews and diagnostic tests and kind of walk through your building, they would generate a report with recommendation for your home. Can be good. Thank you. So these are some of the pictures of the test. Again, you can see the blower door test, the red cover and the fan that basically is used for pressurizing the home. You can see those images of infrared camera. So if you look at it, it basically kind of target the corner. You can see that, for example, in that picture on the bottom right, you see where the wall is hitting the roof or ceiling, you see all of those cold air is coming in. That shows that actually the insulation didn't go all the way to the edge of the soffit or edge of the building. So when they put the insulation on attic, in that case, the insulation didn't go all the way. So that's the area that home, if it's their living room, is actually losing the heat in the winter and cold in the summer. The same way you can see that wall, it looks like on the top picture, it looks like a wall that you have with your garage, and you can see that it's not good insulation. And all of those beams that you see are basically your wood studs because they are thermal actually bridges. So you could see that actually heat is being transferred to them. Again, these are the ways to look at the home and identify where you are losing your energy and what you can do to improve it. The picture I have with a kind of like a meter looking at the water heater, that's again checking the carbon dioxide and how that water heater is functioning, again, one of the health and safety in case you're using gas or fuel oil. Next slide, please. So what comes next? You get your report, you get your audit. Usually you will have some low-cost measure. We call them low-hanging fruit. Some easy things that you can do and you will see benefits quickly, like replacing your lamps with LEDs, faucet and shower aerators, better stripping. And these are the small fixes that you can do and you will realize the saving pretty quickly. Sometimes you need weatherization envelope upgrade. Those are the air sealing and insulation. That will require, if you're actually, sometimes you can do it. If you can actually buy the insulation, buy a tube or air sealing, you can do that. In some cases, if it's harder to reach the location for insulation, you need to hire a contractor to add insulation or air seal, like do a really good air sealing for your attic and where you have your band joist. Also, it's possible that part of your energy assessment report recommends you replace with more efficient heating, cooling, water heating equipment. For example, you may have a furnace which is 85% efficiently. If you want to replace it, let's go for 95% or 96%, because the more efficient you go, even though you may pay a little bit more upfront, you may actually realize the saving through bill saving. Usually when you go for Energy Star and efficient saving, it's a couple of years payback period. And after my presentation, when PECO is presenting actually the rebate that are out there, you can get air sealing and insulation. If you are actually an electric heating home, you can get rebate through PECO and go and actually upgrade your home and make it more air sealed and add to the insulation. You can also get rebates from PECO for buying more efficient equipment. And I believe that's pretty much kind of last slide that I have, dovetailing to what Cathy from PECO will be covering on the opportunity. Oh, I wasn't. Okay. I just wanted kind of to put, I have actually a page from PECO's website for energy assessment. And when you go, basically the next presentation is talking about all the offering, all the energy efficiency offering that PECO have for your region. But check the PECO's website, schedule your home energy assessment, and a certified energy auditor will show up for your audit. I just want to kind of actually reemphasize here that before you do any home renovation, this is the perfect timing to get your energy assessment. Before replacing your heating, cooling, and water heating equipment, perfect timing. Don't forget to get your home energy assessment before that. And before installing your PV on your roof. They always say that actually you should eat your energy efficiency vegetable before going for your solar PV dessert. So it's really important for your home to make sure that you're not leaking and wasting energy before putting those PV on your roof. And with that, I'm going to give it to Cathy to cover her section.
I will be introducing our Kathleen McMillians. Cathy McMillians is PECO's Manager of Residential Programs. She currently leads the electric and gas energy efficiency teams and rebate programs. Cathy has been with PECO for over 20 years, and she lives in nearby Montgomery County. Take it away, Cathy.
Thanks, Asia. So thanks, everyone. We appreciate your time, and we hope we can give you some information and you can take advantage of our programs. We really want to help you save energy and save money. So if you can move on to the next slide, I'll get right into it. I want to give you a quick history of how we got to where we are today. Back in 2008, the Pennsylvania House Bill 2200 created what we call Act 129, and it's really an electric energy efficiency program. So we started off small back when CFLs were all the thing. We started that early in July, and then the full program started in March of 2010. And they've been continuing ever since. So that was the first phase. Then we got the second phase approved, and that started in June of 2013, was a 3-year phase that ended in June of 2016. That then what we got approved for a 5-year phase, which would take us up to June of 2021. And we just began again 6 months ago, our 4th phase, and this is another 5-year program. So the good news is, if you haven't had a chance to take advantage of the programs, you have another 4.5 years right now to go ahead and take advantage. Next slide. So does it make a difference? You know, a few energy efficient bulbs here, some appliances there. Yes, look at what all of our PECO customers in the Philadelphia and the 4 suburban counties, they've reduced electric consumption by 4.6 million megawatt hours. So what's that equate to? That's like powering 560 homes for a full year. And we've given out 367 million in energy efficiency rebates and incentives. We've also, gone out to your communities and done over 2,200 education outreach events that impacted over 727,000 customers. So as I mentioned, we just started this last phase back in June, and this particular 5-year period, our goal is to save another 1.35 million megawatt hours. That's residential and the business customers. We also have a demand reduction, so we lower the demand needed in those highest hours per day, and that's 256 megawatts. And we're doing this through 6 residential programs that I'll talk about in a minute, and one commercial program. The one commercial program is because they put everything under one umbrella. We also have a special carve out that we want to ensure that at least 5.8% of the savings come from our limited income customers. You may have taken advantage of what we call the AC Saver program, which we gave you a credit if we could cycle your condenser during those hot summer days on those peak demand hours. But the Utility Commission determined for this phase that it would be more efficient to get what we call incidental demand reduction, which means by doing an energy efficiency measure, it will also therefore reduce so much demand during those peak hours. So that's what we're going to emphasize this phase. And what that means is we want to get some deeper measures. We want to get the heating and air conditioning systems upgraded. So then when it is at peak time demand on the system, it will naturally come down because you're using less, because you're using a more efficient equipment. We also, this phase, we're doing energy answers. And you may have seen some of our commercials. You'll see a picture or two coming up. So if you're thinking of doing a project, please check out our website and see what we have to offer for you and see how we can help you accomplish that. So here is a couple examples of our programs you may have seen. What we're trying to say is, some people, the bottom, that left picture looks like the guy is trying to wash his dishes and his clothes at the same time, multitasking. Well, that's not the best way. Parka Fridays, being cold in an office wearing a jacket all day, that's not the best way to save. Check out our website and we'll show you how we have different programs and offers to do it. You may have seen the commercial, the one with the couple there. It's called Open and Close. It was like, you have to go in and grab that drink and then close the refrigerator right away. The other one is a family trying to eat in the dark to save energy and money, but we can help you save it without it being that difficult. So we're trying to improve the customer experience. This time we have one centralized rebate portal, so you can track the status of your rebates, where they are, and you can even access that and have it in English or Spanish. So that's a new improvement for us. And then also we, saying go to our website, and we also have an energy efficiency call center. So you can try to do one-stop shopping right there. And just remember PECO.com /home. That's for all the residential offerings, or call 1-888-5-PECO-SAVE, and we can help you go through and see what will be best for you at this time. So as I mentioned, we just started this rebate portal, and what you do, you register one time on this portal, and then you can go from there and look at all the different programs, and you see them listed there, like free energy checkup, energy assessment, and so forth. And I'll walk through them in a second. So one of our most popular programs is our Appliance Recycling program, and this is really popular. So you may have that old refrigerator that's in the basement. Maybe it, is holding some beverages or some old frozen peas. That could be wasting a lot of money and energy. And we'd be happy to take that. We'll recycle it. We recycle 95% and then dispose of the chemicals properly. And we'll pay you $75 to get that off the grid. And we just ask that it's a working fridge, because our goal here is that we are reducing energy. Same thing, maybe you're replacing your refrigerator and that old one still works and you're thinking about keeping it. Let us pick it up and recycle it. You'll save you'll get $75 rebate, plus you'll save about $100 in energy usage over the year. And if you happen to have an old working room air conditioner, we can pick that up at the same time, and we'll give you an extra $10 for that old room air conditioner. So as I mentioned, very popular. I think now we're probably over 130,000 units that we've picked up since 2010. Home rebates. Once again, if you're thinking of buying something, check out our website, see if we have a rebate offer for you. We have a lot of new Energy Star appliances, heat pumps, central air conditioning, also discounts on LEDs. And a lot of the LEDs are available both at retail stores, whether you be in Home Depot or Costco, Sam's Club, even some dollar stores. Or we also have an online marketplace, and you can just go ahead and buy them online and get that instant discount. So make sure you check that out. And especially the bulbs, as I mentioned, we started with CFLs and then we switched over to LEDs when they, were more available and the prices came down. You might remember they started out really high, and over 36 million bulbs have been discounted, and over 428,000 rebates have been issued since we started. Energy assessment, and you just heard a lot about it. We have a couple versions of this, but let me start with this one. It's called the market rate. So we also have another version for folks that are limited income, and there's no cost for the limited income customers. So for just $49, we'll walk through, we'll do what we call a baseline audit. And this is if you don't have electric heating. We will walk through, and I'll wait for the next page, actually has more details of what it includes. And that's just $49, and it's valued at $150. If you are electric heat customer, we can do that more deeper heating assessment with diagnostic testings. And then also you will qualify for other weatherization rebates, as was mentioned, like the air sealing and so forth. And that's just $99. We like the customer to walk around your house with us so we can point out different things. And then we also will give you a personalized report and tell you what would be next steps for your home. And then while we're there, we will put in energy efficiency products like the LED lighting, a power strip. If you have electric water heating, a faucet aerator for kitchen, bathrooms, and then a low flow shower head. Remember, if you're using less water, then you're heating less water. So that's how you're saving there. And then also, if, as I mentioned, the same thing is available for customers that are limited income, and there will be no cost. And then the next slide will show you kind of the difference of the three. And then this is once again market assessment. So we do with COVID, we've offered a virtual energy assessment. So we'll have an interview with you. You may have seen that picture on the previous slide. You can walk through your home with your phone and point out different things, and we'll send you a do-it-yourself kit that you'll install. The standard energy assessment is where we'll come out to your house and walk through audit, and that'll take about an hour or two. And then of course the energy assessment plus, which is the $99 valued at $300, we'll do the walkthrough, we'll do the blower door test, we'll do thermal imaging, combustion safety testing, give you the upgrades, and then you're also eligible for other additional rebates after that audit. Multifamily, we also have programs for a multifamily where we will go into a multifamily building and put the low cost measures in and give a free energy checkup. And we work with the property managers to do that. And that's both for limited income and also anyone, that lives in that multifamily building. As was mentioned, we do have some home energy reports. So we have sent that out to like 500,000 of our higher usage customers, and it compares, you to your neighbors. And even if you don't get this report, if you go onto the PECO website and you sign up for my account, you can see the same graphs and so forth. And in either case, we do ask you to go ahead and give us more information so we know what type of heating and air conditioning you have. You can let us know how efficient you believe your home is, and it'll be a better predictor of what we think, so we can compare you to the right group of your neighbors. And a lot of customers love this. Some people don't like it. I know I have two friends. One, she's like, wow, she was not good compared to her neighbors. She got the audit and then she made some changes. My other neighbor was like, no, and she asked to be taken off the report. So I do get it, and I do like comparing it, especially when it says you're more efficient than your neighbors, which is nice. Home builder rebates. So this is one of our most comprehensive programs. We do want to encourage new construction to really build to Energy Star standards. And, we incent the builder and then also provide materials for the new homeowners so they know exactly how efficient this brand new construction is. This was a recent ribbon cutting we had near Temple University for a senior housing building that you can see right behind the folks. Once again, we've had over 4,000 Energy Star and energy efficient homes since we started this program in 2013. So how do we get our customers to get interested in energy efficiency and to save energy and money? Next slide. We try a lot of different direct marketing campaigns, and you may have seen different ones. Social media is also getting more popular. The ones with the elephants are, they were some campaigns that we have targeted at businesses talking about, the elephant in the room. No one really wants to talk about wasting energy or not being efficient. So, we're trying different messaging and different channels to reach all of our customers. And hopefully you've seen some of our materials. We also do education outreach. I mentioned we have gone out to the communities, and we will be at different tabling events and speaker engagements. Something like this was a great opportunity that we were offered to come speak to you folks today. And we also are in the schools. So we have a theater program that we are doing with the schools right now. It's still virtual. Someday, hopefully we can go back. It's just to get the kids all energized and take home information to their parents to, make everyone our ambassador. We also have this great program. It's called Energy Force Ambassador Program that we're able to hire some special needs folks to help us at these outreach events. And I can tell you, they're very excited. They love their job. They get so excited about energy efficiency. So does everyone around them. And that shows you one of the young men that participated in our program last year. And actually he's back this year, and he's being a mentor to some of the new hires that we have for that program. And that's all I have for now. I know we'll have questions at the end. Once again, you can go to PECO.com/home, PECO.com/ways to save. But please check it out, and hopefully we can help you save energy and money. Thank you. Back to Asia.
Thank you so much, Cathy. Last but certainly not least, we have Kevin Deeny as our last act in this webinar. Kevin is a practicing professional engineer with a Bachelor's of Science in Environmental Science and a Master's of Science in Environmental Engineering, who has also completed the Sustainable Building Advisor Program through BCCC. He is a lifelong resident of Levittown, PA, and has conducted a study of Levittown, PA housing to assess the potential for improved energy efficiency and comfort for that era housing. You're on, Kevin.
Thanks, Asia. As mentioned, I've been living in Levittown all my life, for the most part. I'm an environmental engineer and decided that in order to be an environmental engineer, I had to walk the walk. So I kind of got interested in the housing that I live in and have lived in since I was perhaps 5 years old. If you could go to the next slide. Some years ago, the Bucks County Community College sponsored a program of sustainable building advisor program. It was a multi-month program to focus on energy efficiency, resiliency, and so on. I went through that program, and during the course of it, started to think about where I live and what the challenges would be for energy efficiency, given the scale of Levittown. And because I live here, I obviously focused on where I live, but the same issue can be seen almost anywhere in any community where there is a relatively large number of similar housing construction. I've seen it in Southern California, obviously New York and New Jersey and Maryland and all over the United States. There are clusters of housing that are similar in construction, and it represents, to my eye, an opportunity. Nick, next one. So we started down a pathway of, because I am an engineer and I study things for a living, we started studying these houses, taking them apart conceptually, seeing how they were built, looking into the history of them, what Levitt did, what he didn't do, and rolled that up into the report. There will be a link at the end of this presentation to that report for anyone that's interested. But we put that together several years ago and focused in detail on some of the aspects of the construction. And if we go on to the next one. Given the scale of Levittown, this became pretty important. Levittown itself was the reason that the Bucks County Planning Commission came into being. It was such a huge project that the whole lower part of Bucks County was affected by. Not only the over 17,300 homes that were built, but all of the infrastructure that was put in place, all the piping, all the power lines, all the plumbing, the roads, everything was done. This was all farmland for the most part before Middletown was built. So it spans 5,500 acres and it crosses into 4 municipal jurisdictions: Bristol Township, Falls, Middletown Township, and Township. I've lived in 6 different locations in Levittown over my lifetime. And we got to know 4 of the different house models. Levitt built a lot of homes, but there are only 6 basic house models that were spread across 17,000 homes. So the idea began to dawn that if you can understand the 6 architecturally, how they were built, how they were put together, what our common potential is for energy efficiency, you can get that information out and make it available to 17,000 homes. So you have the opportunity of scale. Because if you go back and look at it, you'll see in just a minute, there are 122 million households in the United States. And the rate at which we turn over housing, meaning the rate at which we lose housing due to fires or floods or whatever, is actually very low. We don't replace old housing very often. And in Levittown's case, that's particularly true. So even though we now have very good performance standards for building a new house, most of the energy associated with residential housing use is for existing homes. Since we're not replacing them and will not replace them rapidly, we have to deal from an energy standpoint with what we have in front of us. And what we have in front of us is essentially a lot of housing that was built at a time when energy efficiency wasn't a priority. And Levittown is a perfect example of that. In this case, it was 6 basic house models, slab on grade. There were no basements in Levittown. All the heating originally was oil-fired hot water radiant floor, which was very comfortable, but relatively inefficient. The insulation that was used in the house construction was R11 and R13. In my case, when I opened my walls up to take a look, it was actually less than that. And we had single pane glass with storm windows, so relatively inefficient. Aluminum frames, which is nothing more than a radiator taking heat out of the house. But at the time Levittown was built, oil was 16 cents a gallon. So, energy costs at that time were not a big driver. Next one. The age of the housing in these 4 municipalities, you can see the peach color is the 1950s era housing. The four townships are dominated by 50s and 60s and 70s housing. And all that housing was, again, at a time, built at a time before there was any priority to deal with energy efficiency. So there's a lot of housing stock here. It doesn't change very rapidly. So if we're going to make some headway in, affecting climate change or even energy efficiency issues, we have to deal with the housing we now own. Next one. So as engineers do, I sharpened a pencil and made an estimate. Taking an original Levittown construction home concept, in this case it was Country Clubber, which is one of the larger of the homes that were built, roughly 2,400 square feet, and developed some estimates of what the heat loss was for various pieces of the house, the windows, the doors, and so on. And then assumed that there would be some upgrade to these. The windows would be replaced with Energy Star units, the doors themselves as well. The walls would be re-insulated and so on. The slab edge we couldn't do much about, but we could do a lot about ceilings and roofs. And the big one there is infiltration. That's what had been talked about previously by other presenters, was the amount of air that is leaking into the house or heat that's leaking out of the house. That air movement takes heat with it. And cutting down on that heat loss is a major activity for these houses. Go on to the next one, Nick. So made those assumptions with what, made those assumptions with what I could do. And assuming that I did do these, and reran the numbers. And that translates into almost a 43% reduction in energy use just in the heating cycle. If you have the same problem if you're cooling units, you're going to just be losing energy in a different way, but you're still going to be losing a lot of energy. So right away, it told me that you can make a huge change over a huge number of homes, but you can understand how to do these in an effective way and get the information out to the 17,311 homeowners that exist here. Next one. Nick. From an environmental standpoint, when Levittown reached 50 years old, that was, depending on what section you live in, that was over 10 years ago. Some of these houses are quickly approaching 70 years old. But the amount of electricity and the amount of oil that we can use translates into almost 21 billion pounds of carbon dioxide that our one town, collectively, Weatherization, has emitted to the atmosphere. That's pretty standard for 1950s housing. But because it's so concentrated, we have an opportunity to share what we've learned, what we can learn on these houses, pass it around, and make some changes. We can change a big number of that. Next one. We surveyed neighbors, got information from people in our neighborhood, and made announcements on websites and whatnot. And eventually we collected enough energy use information from Levittown homeowners like myself, and we're able to compare how the energy is being used among the same house model. If you look at the far left, there's one colonial, very few colonial style houses in Levittown. But from the colonial all the way to the end, the rancher is, we were able to collect energy use information from a wide spectrum of these houses. And once we had enough to make a comparison, we kind of pulled back and said, okay, there are some examples here, some real high energy uses, but intriguingly enough, there are some real low energy users here too. And we wanted to understand what they did, how they got there. If you look to the right, follow the x-axis over, you'll see a rancher. Rancher number 2. That shows it using the normal amount of oil to use the surgery of oil. And then electricity is the blue segment on top of that. But next to that is Rancher 2A. And it's all electricity is quite low. It's the lowest of all the ones we've measured so far. We actually know something about that house. When we took a look at it, that is actually the same house. And that's the same house before and after some changes were made. We go on to the next one. Wanted just to point out a couple of actual IR scans from the Levittown house. This happened to be from my house. Doing the blower door test. The dark area you see on the wall is the back bedroom wall. That dark area indicates a cold spot outside that's cooling that section of the wall, and that's because insulation has fallen down. You can't see it visually. You can also see up in the corner around the quarter round molding that is leaking there at the corner and all along that molding. So behind the molding, where the wallboard meets with the ceiling, right along that edge, it's leaking a lot of energy. We're on to the next one. Similar picture in the living room. You can see that horizontal dark line is leaking energy all along, and this is behind the molding. So you can't see it. There are no visible gaps, but it's leaking energy here. And you can just see the shadow crossing the ceiling of the cold joist. As mentioned earlier, that's a thermal bridge. Above that section of the house is an attic. And that attic is not, well, at the time, wasn't insulated well enough. These joists coming colder than the surrounding drywall and conducting heat out of the house. So they show up cooler and stand like this. And you can see just more examples of sagging insulation. Next one. We have a habit now, my sister and I actually get a kick out of this. During the first snowfall, we have to drive around, we look up at all the rooftops in the neighborhoods. And all of these things, all of the pictures that you see, there are different houses, and they're all evidence of heat loss from the house, and all evidence of a common problem. Many of the houses, usually ranchers and country clubbers, the Pennsylvanians that have that Cape Cod A-frame type construction, and it's a similar problem, but there's a similar solution for it as well. But all of that is evidence of insulation failure. We go on to the next one. That problem exists all over Levittown, thousands of homes, but there's a solution as well. The example on the left, the one that's indicated with A part of the figure, shows the cross section of the A-frame of the house. You have a top floor like this with a A-frame construction. You're going to create a knee wall, and behind that knee wall is where Levitt put the construction, put the insulation, and he followed the roof line. Levitt was famous for saving a buck, and mathematically, there's less insulation you have to install if you follow the hypotenuse rather than insulate both the side and the base of that triangle that's created by the knee wall construction. But that insulation that's in that right behind the knee wall that no one can see fails. It was only stapled in place, and it was craft-faced insulation that embrittled over time and then falls down. And when it falls, it sometimes pulls all of the insulation from all the way up in the upper attic down into the bottom of the knee wall, which is very hard to replace once it's out of it. So that's the point of failure. what do you do as a home? You have an option to try and replace all of that insulation and remove the drywall and the slope, or you can follow the diagram shown in B, which is to insulate the base and the floor of that wall area and the back wall of it, and follow the slope from there. Those options exist. For that house that I pointed out, that was the rancher, we had actually come up with an insulation plan for that house. That's just an indication of what we did, but we didn't want to tear all the drywall out of the house. So we did a combination of dense pack cellulose addition, spray foam addition in different areas of the house. We can go on. The slope was spray foam. That replaced the insulation that had fallen down, which followed the same roof line that you can see the insulation on the back wall there behind the nail and spraying spray foam that had failed too. The walls were done by drilling holes underneath the siding. The siding was taken off, drill holes in the exterior wall in every stud bay, and then pumping in with the blower. You can see the hose that the fellow's holding down below, and blowing insulation into the stud cavity and filling up the walls. We go on to the next one. That particular house, after all the insulation was done, it also converted to a heat pump. So we removed the oil system, converted to a heat pump. So that insulation and that conversion is what translated into the lowest energy use of all the homes that we've seen so far. The caulking and sealing was a big deal. I make a habit of caulking every seam I see. This is just a wall I opened up in my own home and started the caulking process. On to the next one. And every seam I see, I caulk, because I don't want to ever see the inside of that wall again. Around all the windows, around every seam. Caulk is cheap. Once I close up the wall, I don't want to ever have to get back into it again. And the next one. You have a choice if you're going to be doing this yourself of what insulation you purchase. You can buy the R13 insulation in bats and put that in the wall. That's normally what people do. But there's another product, the R15, sitting right next to the R13. Then you can get more insulation value out of it. It does puff out a little bit on the wall before you put the drywall in, but it adds insulation and it increases the R value of the wall. I tape every seam and I fix every break in that paper facing. That's a possibility for air to move through it. The paper is actually very important on the insulation back. So that's a wall in my house ready to go. If you go back 1 second, Nick, if you look at the bottom of that wall, you see what looks like a whitish compound on the wall. The bottom of the levered walls, we actually put a little bit of insulation in this underneath the skin coat of concrete. That cracks in the time. You get air moving up through. So I fill every seam like that with the polyurethane, and that stops the airflow from coming up through that interface there at the bottom plate of the wall. Go ahead. In addition to all that air sealing stuff, we've heard the mention of the need to upgrade appliances and lighting and so on, and to deal with the vampire loads. Those vampire loads are all the things we have plugged in, and we have the little light that says I'm ready to work. It's using energy to do that. We can turn that stuff off. And the need for moisture and humidity control. Levitt never put in exhaust fans in the bathrooms. So that's one thing that should definitely be done by anybody doing an upgrade. It should be removed. Okay, next one. This one example of a house, essentially my house. From start to finish, the first thing I did was replace my water heater because the original Levitt water heater had the original way Levitt made hot water was an insert coil that was inside the oil heater. So you had to run the oil heater to have hot water even during the summertime when you didn't need heat. So that's actually one of the very first conversions I had to make in order to get rid of the oil heat system. I had to make hot water production. So I worked my way through each one of these steps as my budget allowed and time allowed. Replaced this with the heat pump system, upgraded the doors and the windows and all the things that you would have on your list from an energy audit inspection. All the appliances have been replaced. All the exterior walls have been re-insulated. The attic spaces have been insulated and so on. Working all the way down, this took 16 years to do. And my wife and I got pretty good at doing things. And at the end of it, my heat pump system that I put in 17 years ago started having some maintenance issues, so it was time to replace it. That was the very last thing that was done a month ago. But you'll notice the item above it, which is installing the solar PV system. This house is expected to be net zero by next year once that heat pump was changed out, which means I will have produced more energy than I used. That was the goal over 60 years. The final thought I can give you as a homeowner who's gone down this path is not to be overwhelmed or discouraged about all the things you think you might have to do. You do what you can do. You make a plan. Do what you can do in the time that you have and the budget you have. You just work the plan. That's the way I've been able to do it. And happy to share whatever details, whatever experience we've had. Thanks. The Levittown study itself that we did, there's a link for it here. This presentation will be available later. There's a lot more discussion on insulation in Levittown homes, slab edge ceiling. Department of Energy actually has so much information on insulation and choices of equipment and heating systems and whatnot. It's well worth going to the website and tuning around with it. Good information.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you, Bahareh and Cathy as well. We certainly had a lot to share this evening. There were a lot of great tips and suggestions made. We are a little bit past our time, so I do want to thank everybody for tuning in. And if you were joining us after the fact, please check out the presentations and links that we're going to make available on our website. We hope that you will consider taking some steps to make your home better weatherized and making some sustainable changes.